So today we are going to be making, well, not today, over the next few days we are going to be making Ariel's wedding ball gown. Right here I have the curtains that I had used for Erica's wedding dress. I only ended up using the linings and I didn't end up using the shiny pretty outside. So I thought that I would make a Rapunzel wedding gown out of them, along with this pretty pink fabric and maybe even this purple fabric and some of this. I kind of had a whole plan going. But as you can see from the thumbnail and what I just said, this is an Ariel ball gown tutorial, or just a making of video. A hair, let's try that again. Anywho, at the last minute I realized that I still had this teal fabric that I used for my Moana dress and maybe my Finding Dory dress as the lining or something, I don't remember. I also had all these threads and laces and pearls and that cute little fish patch and just a whole bunch of things that I thought would look really good. And although my Rapunzel dress is pretty out of date and I could definitely make a new one now that I know how to use boning and such, I thought that I would make an Ariel dress because I've never made one for myself and it'd be fun to have something different. Also, these fabrics go so well together. Basically, I saw that I still had this sheet and it doesn't look like it right now. It looks kind of blue on camera, but it's actually this perfect tealish color that just screams Ariel. Now, my biggest problem with this dress is the fact that I only had the fitted sheet left over, a pillowcase, and some scraps from the top sheet. And when I say sheet, I mean like a bed sheet, because this used to be a single bed sheet set. Now, obviously this was going to be a problem because I needed this material for my underskirt, and then I also need a little bit extra, which I said is the pillowcase and some scraps that I'm going to be using for the binding along the bodice to tie in the whole Ariel look. Now, I had thought about doing something similar that I did for my Cinderella dress. I didn't have enough of this blue fabric right here, so what I did is I had sewed in a panel in the front. Basically, instead of having a separate white underskirt and then the blue overskirt over it, I just sewed it all together in one continuous skirt so that it gives the illusion of two different skirts. Here you can see that it's all sewn together. This skirt is not underneath, this skirt's not over, it's actually just one continuous skirt. I've also used this method for my Barbie Rapunzel dress and my Barbie Erica's wedding gown. Now, sometimes you can definitely notice when this method is used. Sometimes you can't tell at all and it looks okay. But because of the nature of this fabric, it was not going to work with this teal fabric the way I wanted it to, so I was going to have to figure something else out. My next idea was to sew an underskirt. This was going to be white, this was going to be the teal in the front, and then I would still take my white silky fabric for the outside of the gown and have an overskirt over that. This would have totally worked, and it could still totally work, but it's still not what I'm going for. So I came up with a different solution. And, you know, I've had to get really creative throughout the years because I generally only use thrifted materials, curtains, sheets, etc., etc., and I don't always have the fabric I need because I am not willing to go to the fabric store and spend that kind of money most of the time. But you know what? It's okay because my creativity came through. I have this 30-inch piece here. It's very, very long. It's going to gather up beautifully along the bottom of the skirt, and there should be enough volume to fit over the hoop skirt. And then what I did is I cut out, these are about 11 or 12 inches long, and a lot of them, I have one kind of continuous piece that's probably about 20-30 inches, and then I just have a whole bunch of these little pieces. I'm going to sew these all together into a big long tube, then I'm going to sew this to the skirt, or this part of the skirt to that part of the skirt. And it's gonna kind of be like my Tiana dress. I don't know if you've ever seen that skirt. Now you have seen that skirt. So it's going to have like a separate top and a separate bottom. I'm hemming the bottom of my skirt right now, and I kind of messed up and used this white thread, which isn't super noticeable, but I meant to use the teal, so we're covering it up with this white lace. And I kind of plan on using this somewhere on the skirt anyway, so it's a happy accident, and it's looking good. Right now, I am just gathering up all of the skirt pieces, and then I'm going to sew them together. I've been working on drafting the bodice for probably over an hour and a half now. I am completely and thoroughly sick of working on the bodice, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and cut out the lining and just sew it up, and hopefully it turns out all right because I really don't want to keep drafting more bodices. I know it's not perfect. There's some wonky things going on over here. But we're just gonna go with it, and hopefully it doesn't look too bad. I'm finally done sewing the outer bodice pieces together. I did some more alterations. I made the points in the back a little more pointy, and everything's looking really, really good. So I'm gonna sew the lining together. I'll have to fix it so that it matches the alterations I did on this. And then I'll sew them together and bind it up with some pretty green, and then we can start on the overskirt. I do wish they were a little more forward. I wish they were like here instead of all the way back there, but that's no big deal. It's okay. And then when laced up, the back will complete a complete point. Yeah. All right, looking so good. I love the lace on the bottom. It reminds me of like a little bit of sea foam. For the skirt, I was able to get these 41-inch long panels. I would have to measure, but I want to say they're about 60 inches long. Just cut out a basic waistband. I wanted the skirt to be longer, but it wasn't going to work because I needed to keep about 8-ish, 9-ish, 10-ish of those inches to make the big puff sleeves. What you saw right there was just the overskirt. It's just two pieces sewn together in the back seam. I gathered it up and I made a waistband, and then I ended up putting a button and a hair tie on the front left and right side of the waistband, and I used that as a closure. And then here I am just admiring how everything's coming together, kind of looking at how the sleeve is coming out. I think it's looking really, really cute so far. Now in the previous clip where I was wearing the bodice, I had just pinned it together in the back, which had caused my binding to come undone. Couldn't really see it there, but here you can see the back of the bodice pieces coming out from the binding because it's fraying. It just wasn't enough fabric. Although it did involve a lot of seam ripping, it was a pretty easy fix. I just put another binding on it that was a bit thicker, and I made sure to catch more of the fabric on the back bodice piece. Now for the sleeve, I put a casing up there and then I just gathered here. The casing is going to have elastic in it, and that's what's going to help hold it up. Ugh, today was a day for blood. I got a bloody nose, so I had to pause sewing because white fabric, and then when I was sewing the button onto the waistband, I scraped myself with a pin really, really badly. It hurts. It's a day of blood. Now, I did not actually end up doing the lace up in the back like this. I tried it, I didn't end up liking it, but I just wanted to show you because it looked really good. Instead, I did this alternating zipper effect. That's the only thing I can think of to call it, is a zipper. So it's every other. That way I can put a zip tie right through it without actually having to use laces. So the gown is done. I'm super excited with how it's turning out, or I mean how it has turned out. And I guess the reason I say how it's turning out is because although everything's done, I'm thinking I might want to add these pearls. I just kind of actually took a necklace and the rubber disintegrated. The rubber string that was holding it together, and they kind of just fell. So then I kind of just rolled them around. A lot of these just fell into place where they are, and I think that might look really cute, so I might do that. But otherwise, this gown is completely done. What you are about to see is a reenactment of how the rubber did indeed disintegrate. I picked up the necklace and broke the rubber, and the beads kind of fell into place. It broke just like that. So I thought that I had filmed this going the long way instead of just like the up and down TikTok way, but this is how the dress looks like it's finished. And then I tried putting the white Tiana skirt underneath to see how it would look in movie accurate, and I kind of put the sleeves up higher on my shoulders, and this is what it looks like. I feel like Ariel will be proud of her shoes. And once I had tried movie accurate, I thought, what would this look like without a hoop and without the overskirt? And this is what it looks like, and I think this is my favorite way to wear this dress. Then we have the teal skirt underneath the white skirt, which gives it this like translucent look. I don't even know what to call it, but it gives it like a different depth of color, and I wore it without the sleeves. We'll just call this like the Ariana Grande look, and also Ariel's still proud of her shoes. Then there's just the plain teal skirt without a hoop. I didn't really like how this looked as much, but if you're going for a more bold pop of color, this is a nice way to wear the dress for sure. And this should be the end of the video, but alas, it is not the end of the video because I was on an Ariel kick and I made her pink dress too. This is what the pink dress looks like. I ended up putting a zipper in the back. I think that was one of my better ideas for sure. It's pretty light pink, so it's kind of hard to see the details in this video because the lighting was not it. Also, I definitely needed to iron this dress. It had a really big crease in the middle of the bodice, which kind of makes it look like I sewed the skirt off center, but I promise you I didn't. Also, I'm a terrible person. Not only did I not pre-iron, but I also didn't pre-wash this fabric like at all. Like I literally just cut off the Goodwill tag and then started sewing. Anywho, I think this skirt could definitely use some more petticoats. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Bye!